She's an award-winning writer, a hunting guide, archery and rifle instructor, keynote speaker, and all-around outdoors woman who encourages you to get outside, hunt, fish, shoot, and savor all that life has to offer. And now, here's your host, Mia Anstine.
Well, hey guys, I am here and in a remote location. I'm in a public library because I am not at my home and there is no internet in this little town of Pagosa Springs. So here I am in the public library. I am excited to share a special guest with you, and I have Natalie Strong. She is with Elegant and Armed, and she has a website, started out as a blog. I will let her tell you more about it. But I wanted to tell you today we're going to be talking about concealed carry. And whether you're a man or a woman, I think it's important for you to listen and learn. But I also hope that if you find nuggets of information, please share them with other people. I love it when you reach out and you share information with others. I also want to encourage you. Natalie is going to show us one of her products. And if you are listening on the podcast, if you want to see the product, visit her website. But also the podcast does air on Mac Outdoors YouTube channel, so you can see stuff there. Since I am having technical difficulties with the internet today, my video will be turned off partway through the interview just to save bandwidth so that we don't cut in and out with glitches. And so I hope you enjoy this show. If you do have questions, please reach out. The email address is contact@miaanstine.com. You can also message on social media. Mac Outdoors is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find me on most social media outlets. So I hope you have a great one, and I hope you enjoy this show.
This summer, whether at the range or in the field, WSI Sports Hypertech Bamboo Tanks, tees, and leggings will have you covered. Visit WSISports.com to support the show and use the affiliate code MACO10 for 10% off your purchase. All products are proudly made in the USA. WSI is bringing back pride in American-made clothing. Again, that code is MACO10 for 10% off your order at WSISports.com.
All right. Well, you all, I'm so happy to be back visiting with you again. Today, I have a friend that I met at the POMA conference in Franklin, Tennessee a few years ago. And I'm excited to finally have Natalie on the podcast. I should have had you probably then when we were at the conference, but things were kind of busy and I was kind of scattered around with the board of directors and all of that. But I'm happy to have you on. For my audience, would you just give a little introduction of yourself and let them know who you are?
Yes, thank you, Mia. It's so good to be here. I'm Natalie Strong, and I am personally passionate about women's safety. I live in Ohio. I've lived there my whole life, and I write the blog Elegant and Armed, where I write about concealed carry for women. I've got some gun reviews on there, posts about holsters, but my favorite part is the fashion side of concealed carry. I'm a member of the Professional Outdoor Media Association, where we met, a certified NRA pistol trainer, and I write occasionally for USCCA's Concealed Carry magazine.
I think it's super cool that you're bringing fashion into the carry area because, of course, we all want to kind of look good while we're carrying. And it seems to me, anyways, now more than ever, carrying is more important than I ever thought it was. But before we get into the fashion part, I want to know a little bit about you. And so I'm curious about your journey and how you came to firearms. Did you grow up with a home that had firearms, or what caused you to get into the concealed carry part?
Oh, sure. Well, my father has always been a hunter, and my brother has really been into firearms as well. So they kind of got me into that. My dad actually gave us a Christmas present one year. The whole family took the concealed carry course together, and he wanted us to have that information. I thought I would never use it, but I just went through the class anyway. And turns out years later, when I moved out of my parents' house, I was done with college, I was living in a house all by myself. And I remembered from the concealed carry class that if something does happen, it takes the police minutes to get there at best. And by then, an altercation is typically over. So I don't know, I just started to feel vulnerable in a way that I never really had before. And I thought, oh, well, I already have this permit. I should probably start learning how to conceal carry.
And so, did you, with that process, I mean, you already had your permit and you wanted to learn how to conceal carry. Did you just kind of start out on your own and buy a holster? And how did you figure out what you were going to use?
I had already had some gun training, but I didn't know how to dress for concealed carry or what holster to get or which one is best. So I just started purchasing different types of holsters and trying them out with my clothing. And Mia, back then, I used to think concealed carry was a masculine thing. So I was bound and determined to find ways to carry with the outfits. Yes, I just started testing out holsters and I wanted to share my journey with other women since there wasn't a lot online back then. I started posting on Instagram and it eventually led to the blog.
When you kind of started the blog, you were just documenting your journey and what you were going through and finding stuff and letting people know your experience with a product?
Yes, that's right. And some things worked and some things didn't. I've had some embarrassing situations where my bright pink holster was showing through the white t-shirt. So I kind of had to learn by trial and error while also figuring out what is the safest thing to use. But I really, like, I'm an encourager by nature. So I really wanted to encourage other women that, hey, if I can do this, you can too, because I'm coming into this with little to no experience, but it's totally possible and you can protect yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that you're sharing the journey. That it's so important. And it's something that I would say I fail to do because I will just go and get my item and kind of knock my way through it. But when you are developing your products, because I mean, ultimately you're developing your conceal carry items, can you tell us how did you come to that? Or are you selling your items and other items that you've come across?
So I actually, when I was in high school, I used to want to have my own line of purses. So when Chameleon Handbags came to me and wanted to do a collaboration, it was like a dream come true. But we designed a concealed carry purse that it is very stealthy, you might say. Just by looking at it, you would never know it's a concealed carry purse. But I wanted to design something that was structured and would sit in place and not fall over on itself. And it has a center gun pocket, a separate pocket away from everything else in the purse to keep your gun away from items that could work its way into the trigger. And now it's my favorite purse. It's my daily carry. Even when I'm carrying it in a holster on my body, which I actually do prefer to do, I like all of my purses to have a holster option inside. That way, if there is a wardrobe malfunction, or if I do have to take my holster off in the dressing room or in a public restroom, I have a safe place to put my gun for the time being.
That's a really good point because I try to primarily carry on my body, but I just before I came here, had to take my concealed carry off in the restroom. And as you're saying, like, where do you put it? And that's a great point that you could put it in the handbag. So thank you for sharing that tip. I think it's super important to consider that. And so that was the first item, was that handbag?
Yes. More recently, I have developed a concealed carry camisole, which it's the first of its kind. And I'm actually wearing it right now. I know we're on audio, but I can share it with you, Mia.
Well, and for the listeners, we do put this on video also. It does publish on YouTube. So if you're ever listening to the show and you want to see something that we're sharing, we'll try to describe it for you. But it will be on YouTube if you want to look. And Natalie is mentioning this because I'm having technical difficulties and had to turn off my video so that we can stream properly. But Natalie, you're still on video.
Okay, great.
Tell us about this camisole because it looks beautiful.
Thank you. I'll try to get close up, show you the lace detail around the top, but it is a racerback camisole designed specifically for concealed carry. This top layer is like your typical blouse material. So it moves and adds dimension. Underneath, we have a thick satin that has been reinforced with panels that go all the way around. You can see I've got my normal holster attached to a belt. And you just wear this over top of your holster and it prevents printing. So I do like to dress up and I really like blouses, but anytime I would conceal carry in a blouse and step out into the wind, my gun would print really bad, sometimes showing the complete outline of the gun. And it was just kind of unnerving and sometimes embarrassing. It's not something I want to just announce to the world that, hey, I'm concealed carrying right now. So I created a top that even when the wind blows on you, it will not show that outline and just give you more confidence in everyday wear as you're moving around, picking things up. Just gives you the confidence that you are fully concealed.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. What gun do you have in your holster right now?
Thank you. I'm carrying the SIG P365, which is
Okay,
my,
because that's what I carry also is a
oh, is it?
P365. Yeah. And so looking at that, when you have your firearm and it's appendix carry is what she's showing us. And like when I put mine in the appendix, a lot of times, as she's saying, the fabric, especially if you're wearing rayons and those light polyester fabrics, they're gonna definitely kind of wrap around the firearm, and it's gonna print. I mean, you're gonna see it. So that you're showing us, that reinforced panel, it seems perfect to me. Now, I have to ask you because you're standing up and down. That panel, when you sit down, does it kind of protrude out, or how is it laying when you're sitting down?
Let me show you. I'll tilt down here. And I know the lighting is a little hard to see. It might bunch a little bit, but not really. We tried to place the panels at the right height so it doesn't stick out. So the panels come right up to here, about at my natural waist.
Is that at the bottom of your ribs?
It is, well, not for me. It's midway up to my rib.
Okay.
And of course, different body types will behave different ways, but the best way is to just try it and see if it works for you.
Right. And that's my suggestion. It seems like people are always asking. That's like the number one question is, what holster should I buy? And it's very challenging to say because just like this, we're looking at your camisole with that panel in there and we're all built differently. So that seems ideal to me. I mean, just looking at it on you, and it's something that definitely like I'm gonna give it a try because you're always looking for new things to, help you conceal better and match with your summer outfit or your winter outfit. So for the listeners, when we're looking at these items, especially when it's something you wear or put on your body, definitely you're going to have to consider it might fit you differently than me because of my curves and stuff like that. But this is just wonderful to see. And so the camisoles, how long have you had them out?
It might be a year and a half. It might be 2 years by now.
Time flies.
Yes, time does fly. But my dream and my goal is to eventually have a line of clothing for women's concealed carry. So this is kind of the first step in taking baby steps into it.
Nice. And with your steps, you said that one company came to you to partner on the handbag. Have you made any other handbags or just have the one so far?
So far, just the one handbag, but you never know in the future. On my store, I do sell some of their other concealed carry handbags as well. So there's all different styles to fit basically everyone's style.
So the camisole was number 2. And do you have other things out or more in the works? What are things looking like?
Those are the only two available at the moment, but I definitely have ideas and plans for more.
We met at POMA and you said you're still a member, and I'm super excited that you're still a member. Do you have plans to go to their conference again next May?
Probably. I haven't looked at my travel for this year. I did a lot of traveling last year, but POMA is on the top of my list when it comes to events.
And you're in the Midwest, or where are you at?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio. The nice thing about POMA is their events are held in places that I haven't visited, at least in the past. So it's kind of nice to travel with them and get to experience new states and new towns.
Yeah, new locations are great.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope to see you there. That's why I asked. I don't know yet if it's going to fit on my schedule either. They moved it to May, and I'm used to it being in June. So I'm trying to figure out what to shuffle around still. But maybe I will see you there. If not, either way, I'm going to have to get a camisole before then to kind of hopefully I'll put that on the Mia Anstine YouTube, not the Mac Outdoors YouTube.
Okay, Mia, I can send you one.
We'll have to do a review on it so that people can kind of see how it fits different people. And on your website, do you have any videos of the products, or do you have a YouTube with products?
I do have a YouTube, and my blog is www.elegantandarmed.com. And on the shopping page, there is a video that you can see the camisole and what it does.
I'll leave that in the show notes for you all so that you can head over there and check it out. And you can also subscribe and do the pop-ups that are on the site there. But before we get to that point, because I'm not done with you quite yet, I have more questions. I wanted to know, through your process, have you done any other training or activities to kind of figure out different ways to carry or how to protect yourself while you're carrying?
Yes, but I am a member at my local range, and I try to keep up my practice with the range. I also try to invest in one or two trainings, like bigger trainings per year, to continue learning and sharpen my skills. I did go to a marketing event last year. It was the fire training put on by Securit at the Gunsight range. And that's a top range. They have really excellent training out there. Highly recommend it. But I received some great training out there as well.
Yeah, Gunsight has amazing instructors. And for the listeners, if you haven't listened to the episodes about Gunsight Academy, I will link those in the show notes as well so that you can learn a little more about Gunsight. And they have like renowned instructors that are just incredible. So that's super awesome that you're able to go there. Do you have any plans for training in the future?
I am going to one this weekend, actually, in Ohio with Robert Vogel. And other than that, I am keeping my eyes open.
Very good. So with your products, do you sell them only on your website, or are there other places where we can find the handbag or the camisole?
Yes, my website, and then Chameleon Bags, they sell it on their website as well. And we are working on getting into stores as well. So that might look like small ranges across the nation. So who knows? Maybe there might be some in a range near you.
I mean, that'd be great to see the different products in different locations, especially I'm sure women would love to see that. I actually write for Shooting Industry Magazine and Shop Business, and those are magazines for retailers. And it's something that I try to do is like encourage them to support the women, because it seems like they're so focused in just the gun part, but this carry option, it's a big deal for ladies. So that might be something I'll be including in a future article as well. I'm going to keep that in my notes for later.
I think it would be really cool if ranges had a little section for women that was almost like a boutique, and they could try on and they could test out the holsters. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be very cool, because that's the challenge is like, I think many women who carry their firearms, we all have like a drawer of holsters that didn't quite make it, or this one, I have a drawer for, in winter, I can wear different holsters than I can in the summer. And, and I'm kind of probably a little different. I don't know. People can let me know in the comments or on social media or somewhere. I like to carry a variety of guns. I don't just have one. So, so I also have all those holsters.
Okay. Do you switch out based on the season, or just what gun you're?
Based on the season, based on my outfit, some of them have longer grips, some are shorter, the holes, some are more thin. And some of those thin ones work with summer outfits, but they're not my favorites to shoot. So
okay,
got that. And I think you had told me, or it seems like so long ago, did you try out the Ruger, the LC380?
I had the Ruger LCP.
Okay, the P. And so I have it's so tiny, like your pinky kind of hangs out there, and I have little hands. It's good that I have little hands, but you learn I'm also an instructor. So you learn how to grip these different guns differently, but that little gun is not my favorite gun, but also it's one that you can carry easily and you can conceal it easily, so there's trade-offs.
Right. That one actually over time with training hurts my hands quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's just the size of it. And I don't know how big your fingers are. I'll have to compare hands when I see you next time. We'll share some pictures of different hand sizes. But like my daughter, her fingers are extremely long. They're probably almost an inch longer than mine. And she can't get a grip on that. And we also have I have a Remington RM 380, which is another 1911 style compact, and that one she can't pull the trigger back because of the size
Oh,
and the trigger pull on it. So these are all things for you if you're listening and you want to conceal carry. There's a lot of things to consider when you go buy a gun. So to
mhm.
kind of test those things out and consider, like Natalie said, if you're shooting numerous rounds, your hand can be sore, or if it's too big and you're trying to conceal it, it might be poking you somewhere, it might be sticking out. This panel on that camisole is a great idea to help. I'm just thinking for one of my larger concealed carries, that's going to be wonderful.
Mhm. Yes, yes, it might help you carry a larger gun.
For sure. So, do you have any suggestions or tips for ladies when they're looking for concealed carry or they're looking for holsters or garments?
Yes, well, I on my blog I do have a post about the 7 things you should consider when looking for a concealed carry pistol. I also have a quiz that you can take on the holsters page of my blog. That quiz asks you questions to take your lifestyle into consideration and ends up recommending some holsters at the end for you. I also have some content about creating a concealed carry capsule wardrobe.
I'm so glad that you brought up the wardrobe must haves because that's something that I think we could all use, even if you don't carry. Knowing a wardrobe must have is important. But for a concealed carry, will you tell us about that and then let my listeners know where they can learn more about it?
Sure, of course. So, whether we realize it or not, I think putting together an outfit does take some mental energy. And for me, when I'm feeling tired or if I'm in a rush, it can be a temptation for me to leave my gun at home and not put it on. So, the whole idea with the capsule wardrobe is styling your outfits in advance and having that set of clothing that mixes and matches and works well together and is sure to conceal your gun every time. On the concealed carry clothes section of my blog, you can find this blog, How to Create a Capsule Wardrobe That Conceals Your Gun. And when creating that, I think you should really start with the clothing that inspires you most. For me, it was the holster itself. All you need is one holster to get started, but if you have multiple holsters, that's okay too. For me, I'm like you, Mia. I have that box full of holsters. So for my capsule, I had to cut some of them out and tailor it down to 4. So when I wrote this blog, I chose an appendix carry holster, a Kydex holster, and a thigh holster, and then I had 2 concealed carry purses as kind of my backups. But once you have the holster or holsters that you want for your capsule wardrobe, you would then choose what types of pants, skirts, or shorts that you want to have. So I like to choose these next because they're kind of the base layer that you're going to attach your gun to. So finding a belt that is comfortable with your jeans, finding a pair of jeans that the gun fits inside without poking you or being too uncomfortable. One tip I have for that is to get some jeans with stretch in it. That way, when you're sitting down, it has a little give and makes some room for the firearm.
That is a great tip. And thank goodness they make jeans that have stretch fabric now.
I know. I hear that Gen Z wants to take the stretch out of our jeans, and I'm saying no, please. If you do have an article of clothing in your capsule that does not work for concealed carry, for example, I have a pair of white shorts, and if I put a belt around them, they ride up too much and become uncomfortable. Like we don't need any wedgies here. So that pair of shorts is not the best for concealed carry. When I had that in my capsule wardrobe, I considered that a gap. So what I would do is make a shopping list And on that list, I would say white pants or white shorts that work for concealed carry. And I would keep my eye open for that. But obviously, you don't want to just drop a whole bunch of money on a whole new concealed carry wardrobe. So this can be a work in process. As far as dresses, that's why I chose a pair of thigh holster shorts. I use the Dean Adams shorts. If you are wearing a skirt, a belly band could work with that, and your gun could have access from the top of the skirt. So there's multiple ways you could wear dresses. And then moving on to shirts. The one shirt that my favorite shirt in the capsule wardrobe is definitely the concealment camisole that I designed. I think it's a versatile option that it's polished enough that you can put it with a blazer and wear it to work. But yet, if you put it with a pair of jeans and sneakers, it's also casual enough to run out and do errands. So that one, of course, is my favorite. But there in the blog post, you'll see there are other tips that you can do to conceal your firearm. For example, one thing I like to do is put on a tight undershirt that kind of compresses the gun to my body. And over top of that, I'll wear some kind of top with a texture, and it can even be see-through. So like it could be a see-through lace top, but all of the design of that lace kind of camouflages any printing. And then you have that tank top underneath that it has spandex in it. So there's a little tip. I actually have another blog post, Mia, called Best Shirts for Women's Concealed Carry. And on there, I share a lot more tips for concealing. In this blog post, I also talk about layering and how to come up with your color palette for your capsule wardrobe. Are shoes important? All of that. Typically, a capsule wardrobe has about 30 pieces, but really you can make your capsule your own. It doesn't have to be just the 30 pieces. I found out when using my capsule the first year, I didn't want to just limit myself. So what I ended up doing was I had one section of my wardrobe that was going to be for my concealed carry capsule. And I had this other section that had other fun items that I just really liked, or the new trends. And it's okay to have those too for those days that you have time to style an outfit. But for those days where I'm in a rush or I'm feeling tired, I go to this capsule section, and those have become my go-to concealed carry items.
I love that idea of having those just ready to go, and kind of like the in case of emergency outfits. When you, like you said, when you don't have time, we all have those mornings when we're a little scattered and things aren't going just right. It'd be totally great to just be able to have that wardrobe, be ready to go, still be able to carry and feel safe, be safe in the world out there.
Absolutely. Yes, it just makes it a lot easier. I don't know. I don't know about, am I the only one, Mia? Or do you feel like that too? If you're tired or rushed, that it can be a temptation to leave the gun behind?
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely am one who will end up doing that. Or it'll be one of those days where I'm okay, I'll put it in my bag and I have carry pouches and stuff for that. But that's not my favorite way to carry my handgun. So it definitely is a great idea. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to do a capsule wardrobe so that I have those options, and it's not just like I'm end up in town in an area where there's a bunch of homeless people that are kind of freaking me out, and you're like, oh no, I left my gun at home because I didn't know what to wear with this today.
Yeah.
I hope some of the listeners will learn a little bit from this as well, because as I said when we started, like to me personally, right now more than ever, it feels like I need to have my handgun with me. Like I know that you talked about when it takes time for an officer to respond. And where I live out of town, and it's going to be 20 minutes minimum before they get there. So we don't have like the 5 minutes, and who knows what can happen to you in 5 minutes time. So these are things that are really important. And I'm glad that you are getting these products designed and that you have the creativity to come up with these things. Did you study fashion, or what caused you to kind of end up in the fashion part of the self-defense stuff?
It's funny, a long time ago, I actually prayed. I said, God, would you give me a business idea? This was in middle school or high school. Would you give me a business idea? Would you give me an idea to invent something? And would you help me design a line of purses or clothing? And and then I kind of forgot about those dreams. I went to school for business, but I have always had that creative side to me. And just more recently, it's all like coming out.
All coming out. It's all in God's time. He heard your prayer and he's like, okay, we're going to do this, but here's the nuance to it. I think it's
Yes.
wonderful.
I still think it's funny that it's in the concealed carry uh, area, because growing up, I never would have thought that I would carry or be into guns or anything. And then here I am, and I enjoy it.
It's so wonderful. And I really do appreciate you sharing some of your ideas and tips. And as I said, for my listeners, we definitely need to go dive in and learn a lot more. I've read a couple of your articles with the USCCA. And so for the listeners, you may check that out as well. And maybe I'll have some of them on the show in the future so we can learn a little more from them. It's been a while since I visited with anybody from over there, so it might be a great topic to fit in. Do you, when you're writing articles for USDCA, is it pretty much just on how to carry, or what kind of articles are you writing?
Well, I think most of them have been about the concealed carry and clothing topics, but I did write one called How Good is Good Enough, about training and how much you should train, and can you ever really train enough? And the answer is no.
Excellent. And that's a great tip and a great thing for the listeners. If there's anything you can do, is to never stop learning. Always keep feeding yourself and keep growing. And even though maybe you've taken a basic, you might want to go back to the basics if you're having trouble in a more advanced course. And it's something that we all need to do. Just keep learning, try to grow every day. And so for the listeners, Natalie, would you let them know, we've talked about your website, let them know your website address, where else can they find you? And also with that wardrobe must-haves, is there a download for that somewhere?
Yes. So if you go to my blog, eleganceandarmed.com, I do have some pop-ups where you can subscribe to my newsletter that goes out once a month. And if you subscribe, you'll get my free concealed carry guide. It's the concealed carry checklist, everything you need before leaving the house. And I'll also send you 10% off of items in my store when you subscribe. I can also be found on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, if you have any questions or comments, please do. The best way to reach me is through the contact form on my website.
Excellent. I so appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I do hope to see you at one of the shows. Are you going to go to SHOT Show or any other shows this coming
Oh,
in?
yes. I'll be at SHOT Show this year.
Maybe I'll see you at SHOT Show.
Okay.
Will you
That
be
sounds
there as a guest? Are you going to be exhibiting with one of the booths?
Well, I will be there as media. I might be walking around, but I can probably be found in the Chameleon booth as well.
Okay, I'm going to put you on my list, and maybe I can come visit you at Chameleon, and we'll do something there as a meetup or something for the guests. Maybe we could do a little live or something.
Okay, perfect.
So thank you so much for being on the show and for dealing with me and these technical difficulties when I'm not in my office.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much for having me, Mia. It was great to chat with you.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.